Thank you. Thank you. So Nathan, are y'all able to see the chat?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, thank you. All right. Looks like we had a couple more people get on, so I'll give you just a second. And I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with using Zoom, but if you're not, at the top, you should be able to choose the Q&A function and the webinar chat function. The Q&A, you can ask questions and I can answer them live, or I can type you an answer. And then the webinar chat, you can send me information, or you can send it to everyone. And right now we're using that just to take attendance, because sometimes from just the participant, we don't know what center you're with. So thank you so much for those that are sharing their information with us. I really appreciate it. There's also one that's like a show of hands. It says raise your hand. So you can see if you can find that function. Raise your hand if you can see me well, hear me, and see my PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to turn it so the light's not so bright. There we go. Great. I see 11 hands, 12 hands. Does it look and sound okay in there?
Alex is.
Okay. See 14 hands. Can everyone else see me and hear me and see my PowerPoint presentation? Let's see what time is it? 2:04. We'll give one more minute for everyone to get on. And remember, if you haven't already, in the chat function, if you'll tell us your name, the name of your center, and your PDR number for credit. Alex is helping me to take attendance to make sure that we have everyone down that has.
No, we're missing. This one says she didn't get the link. I'll email.
Yeah, and you can, if you need to check my email. Mail. All right, I still only see a few hands raised, so please raise your hand if you can see me and you can hear me, and you can see the PowerPoint. If you have any questions or you're not able to see me, please ask that in the Q&A.
I don't have it, Tristan. Bornay. Maybe it's.
Who?
I don't. Tristan Bornay.
Alex said he didn't see.
Okay.
Maybe that's Amazon. I looked at the ones that called, and that's not where it was.
We can just ask. Tristan, can you tell me what center you're with? Because we weren't able to find that on our record. So if you don't mind just commenting and let us know what center you're representing. I appreciate it. Thank you. Great. Thank y'all all so much for being here. Are we not able to talk? No, I can give you, that's the difference between meeting versus a webinar. I found that when we've done meetings in the past, there's lots of background noise and it's really hard for people to hear me. So I can give you access to talk if you would like to talk, but let's see, where did I do that? And that's during the chat function. But we, with so many people, I'm just using the chat function and the Q&A function. So yeah, so if you have a question to ask, please ask that in the Q&A. Or you can also share information during the chat. And later on in the webinar, I will be using the polling function where you can choose to answer a question. So we'll try to make it as interactive as possible. But like I said, it's just the Zoom stuff is just not ideal. So in the future, if you're able to come to an in-person training, I would really love for you to be able to do that. We had a great time Friday sharing, and that's one of the good things about doing the in-person too, is that y'all really get to share with each other and learn from each other, sometimes more than what you would learn from me. So yeah, thank you so much. Let's see. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And it's great to have you all here. We're excited to be with you. And as we're waiting for people to filter in, go ahead and find that chat function if you haven't already. And let us know what you've been doing fun this summer. We'll try to use the chat function quite a bit during the training. So you can make sure that you would message to everyone and not just host and panelist. And for those who don't know me, my name is Nicole Harris, and I'm the trainer here with AR Children Food Program. And today's workshop is all about healthy habits. And who better to help us illustrate healthy habits than our friends on Sesame Street? You'll be seeing them throughout the workshop and learning about some amazing resources from Sesame Street to share with your kids or use in your own childcare. I was able to go to the National CACFP conference this year. And during that conference, we were able to see that they have partnered with Sesame Street and the 5210 frameworks to bring healthy habits to our children. Let's see, look at the chat real quick. Thank you. How do I go? Let's see how do I go to the next one. All right. As we've already kind of gone over, but just a few housekeeping was just the chat function. You can share and communicate with other attendees during the workshop. The Q&A function, you can ask a question related to the material. And as we're going, and if you have any technical problems, I do have Nathan and Alex here to help if we can help with any of those technical issues. Also, you can follow along with the resources that I sent you in the email that had the link to the Zoom. There should be an agenda and a training checklist and some other handouts that we'll be going over today. So here is a copy of the agenda. And these are all of the items that I'm planning on covering during this 2-hour training. The next slide is a training checklist. Now, the training checklist is very important. This is the piece of paper that will go into your file to show that you have received your required annual training. So please make sure that you fill this out and you're able to check yes on all the items, and you sign it and send that back to me. And please try to get that into me within the month so that I can make sure you get your PDR credit. After 30 days, the PDR doesn't allow me to add participants to the training. So make sure you get that back to me within the month, please. And I am not going to be able to go through every single item on this list. Most of these things you should already know and you're familiar with because y'all have all been on the program for a while. But if there's anything on here that you have a question about, don't hesitate to ask. You can ask in the Q&A function. Or you can also email me, Nicole@ar-children.com, and I can get back to you later with any individual questions that you might have. Why isn't it? I'm clicking, it's not going. 7. Okay. So the objective after completing this training, providers will describe how the 5210 framework helps children develop healthy habits and will select one new routine to implement in their childcare center. So hopefully this will work, but I have a video. So how many of you grew up watching Sesame Street? Can you raise your hand? Yeah. I can see all the hands raising. All I did was definitely as a kid, that was one of my favorite ways to start Saturday morning. It was part of my routine. Nowadays, I can't start my days without coffee. So has anyone here ever made like a New Year's resolution that you've struggled to keep? If so, you know that habits and routines are very powerful. And healthy routines are essential at providing important structure to our day. As a child care provider, your days are all about routines and providing that structure for your children. And you know that young children need and thrive on routines. But why? The answer is all in their brains. And this video will help a little more about the brain chemistry involved in creating habits. So let's see if it works. It's not at the beginning. Hold on, let me see if I can go all the way back.
Hey, smart people, Joe here. What if I told you the reason you had really fresh breath this morning? Because 100 years ago, an advertiser named
There we
Claude
go.
C. Hopkins was having trouble
Can y'all
selling
hear
a
it?
brand of toothpaste. See, he needed to convince people that brushing their teeth should be a daily routine. And back then, it wasn't for most people.
Thank
In the end, he was able to get half the American public to pick up a new behavior and repeat it every single day and pay money for his toothpaste. How did he do it? By tapping into neuroscience and decoding the awesome power of habits. Habits, we've all got them. You can probably think of a few of your own. I always seem to tap my feet when I'm trying to sit still, and I find myself biting my nails whenever I'm focused on reading or watching a movie. I don't consciously think about doing these things. It's because I've done them so often, they become a habit. We know habits as things we do automatically, tasks we do subconsciously, like walking or high-fiving. There's tons of things that technically count as habits, and they can be good or bad. So why do we form habits? And how do we learn new ones or unlearn old ones? If you take the same path to school or work, then you likely have that pathway burned into your brain. You can probably walk it without even paying attention. Habits are built in a similar way. New neural pathways are formed when you repeat a behavior. And the more that a brain circuit fires, the easier it becomes for our brain to do whatever that circuit controls without conscious thought. Think back to how you learned how to ride a bike. At first, riding a bike is tough. You've got to learn how to pedal and balance and turn all at the same time. You have to consciously think about each action. This happens in an area of your brain called the prefrontal cortex, the part associated with complex thought. But eventually, after you ride enough, you no longer have to think consciously about each individual action. Riding a bike has become a habit, and now it's controlled by different parts of your brain. One area involved in habitual behavior is the striatum, which actually releases chemicals that inhibit the complex thinking part of your brain for that task. This is your brain being efficient. By turning down your brain's thinking requirements for, say, bike riding, it's free to think other things, like how exactly do igloos keep you warm? Let's go back to Claude Hopkins and his toothpaste scheme. Claude realized habits have three key ingredients: a cue, a behavior, and a reward. A cue is something that triggers a behavior, like how the alarm clock triggered you punching the snooze button, and this is followed by the reward, 9 sweet extra minutes of sleep. Claude got people thinking about that slimy film on your teeth in the morning, thanks to the bacteria that colonize your mouth overnight. The sticky film is the cue that triggers brushing behavior. Well, what's the reward? Claude convinced people this film would make their smile look ugly, and a prettier smile was the reward for brushing. Claude understood that with the right cue and the right reward, you could entice people to do just about whatever behavior you wanted. But what he didn't know was that rewarding a behavior can actually create a craving. And this is what makes habits so strong. Scientists now know that special neurons in the brain can fire and give us chemical rewards. But what's weird is that once a habit and a reward are tied together in our brain, those reward neurons start firing before you do the behavior. This is what causes craving, and it's why you want popcorn when you go to the movies, why you pick up your bad habits when you see You see other people doing them, and why habits are so hard to break. Claude knew a prettier smile would be a reward that would make people rush, but he didn't anticipate that over time people would subconsciously start craving the minty tingle that Pepsodent left in their mouth. People's brains actually started to crave toothbrushing. So how can you train yourself to pick up a new habit, like eating an apple a day? And if you've got a bad habit, can you break it, or are you stuck with it forever? Scientists used to think that our brains didn't change all that much once we reached adulthood, like concrete once it's solidified. But it turns out your brain is much more like clay. It's a super flexible organ. The chemistry of your brain is constantly changing as you go about your day in response to everything from learning to moving to hunger. These chemical releases are short-lived, but over time, if the same behaviors are repeated, the physical structure of the brain is actually changed. You create new neural pathways. And because the neural network has changed, so does the way the information flows. When a behavior is repeated often enough, a habit is formed. There's this famous idea that a new skill is learned by putting 10,000 hours of work into it, but it's not that simple. The amount of time differs hugely between tasks and between people. What's for sure is that when it comes to making a habit, whether it's learning guitar or meditation, there's simply no substitute for repetition. The reason bad habits are so hard to break is because you've literally woven new neural networks into your brain. That doesn't go away overnight. So give yourself a break. And if you're trying to change a habit, know that it's usually best to try and replace bad behavior with a new behavior instead of just trying to erase the pattern altogether. The good thing is that now you know you have the power to change your brain. It's as easy as brushing your teeth. And if you haven't made it a habit already, stay curious. Hey guys, if you
So thank you. So think of one habit you wish you could change. Maybe you want to drink more water throughout the day. Whoops. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Drink more water throughout the day, or getting outside more with the kids. How many times have you tried to change this particular habit? I bet it's more than once. So from the video, you can actually see why it's so difficult to break habits that have already been formed. The cue behavior reward cycle are literally hardwired into your brain. So helping young children establish routines and habits that promote health can go a long ways in making sure those habits stick around for their lifetime. Let's see. So, there are so many examples of this feedback loop in our everyday life. Most of the time, we don't even recognize that they're happening because it's so ingrained in us. For example, most of us tie our shoes in the same order each morning and sleep on the same side of the bed each night. The same applies to habits around food. Most of us have experienced something like this. You walk into the kitchen to the yummy smell of cookies in the oven. Your brain immediately recognizes the cue, which is what? The scent. That's right, the scent, and triggers the behavior of eating the cookie. Satisfying your craving for a cookie is the reward that keeps that cycle going. Can y'all think of any other examples? If you do, you can share those in the chat, and make sure that you click to everyone so everyone can see what you have to share. Anyone? Did you know that 80% of brain development happens before the child reaches the age of 3? Think about all those patterns and habits that are being formed and reinforced every single day. So helping kids form healthy behaviors that last into adulthood is one of the most important ways to keep them nourished and growing to their fullest potential. Let's see. I'm gonna lower your, how do I do that? Oh, there we go. Lower your hands. Okay. I lowered your hands. So use your raise hand button if you are familiar with the dietary guidelines for America. Thank you. A couple? Yay, good. These These recommendations are updated every 5 years by a group of medical experts from across the U.S. They're the ones who, came up with the MyPlate and the old food pyramid. The dietary guidelines essentially advise Americans on how to eat to promote health. In the most recent report from 2020, the committee looked at current nutrient intakes and eating patterns across the different age groups. Children and adolescents, adults, older adults, and for the first time, pregnant, breastfeeding women, and infant and toddlers. Based on that research, they update their guidance on healthy eating patterns for the different life stages. So the Healthy Eating Index is a ranking on how eating patterns match up with the dietary guideline recommendations. The maximum total score is 100. So meaning that recommendations were met or exceeded. So this bar chart shows healthy eating index scores across 4 different age groups shown at the bottom of the chart. So among Americans, children ages 2 to 4 scored the highest at 61. And then you'll see that ages 5 to 8 was 55. And then ages 9 to 13 is 52. And ages 14 to 18, which is the lowest at 51. And for adults, the average score was 59. So clearly, we have some work to do to improve the way Americans eat. So here's a quote from the dietary guidelines. Less healthy eating patterns among children and adolescents, plus inadequate physical activity, contribute to overweight and obesity and risk of chronic disease. Examples like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease later in life. Changing this is crucial because dietary patterns established during this life stage tend to continue into adult years. So for a few minutes of this training, we're going to discuss strategies to help accomplish that goals. Okay. So the 5210 is a set of evidence-based guidelines developed by a group like the American Academy of Pediatrics, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services at the CDC, and these guidelines are designed to promote healthy behaviors in children. And they can happen in any setting where children spend time learning and playing. So like your child care centers. So these include serving a variety of fruits and vegetables, increasing physical activity, limiting sweetened beverage, and consuming the 5-2-1 and 0 of the 5-2-1-0. And do these sound familiar? It's because they do align with the food program meal pattern guidelines. So why the 5? Okay, the 5 is 5 servings of fruits and veggies. So a study from 2021 showed adults who consumed 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables per day were less likely to die from cardiovascular disease, cancer, and respiratory disease. But the dietary guidelines for America notes that the vast majority of people, as much as 80%, do not get enough fruits and vegetables in their diet. There we go. It's like it's been showing up. So fruits and vegetables contain important nutrients like vitamin C, calcium, and folate. They promote healthy growth and development. They're full of fiber. It prevents constipation and aids in digestion. People who consume the 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables per day live longer and are healthier overall. Reduce the risk of chronic illnesses. Taste preferences form at a very early age, and more likely to eat the recommended amount of fruits and vegetables. So children may consume up to 2/3 of their daily calories when they are in childcare. So you know that the food program requires a certain amount of fruits and vegetables to be served for children for a credible meal or snack. So if you're serving breakfast, lunch, and snack, you might already be providing 4 or more servings of fruits and vegetables to your kids. But here is what 1 serving of fruits and vegetables look like. Remember, these are the minimum portions for a 3 to 5-year-old at lunch or dinner. And you can see on the slide that there's a fourth a cup of applesauce, a half of a medium pear, a half a cup of a leafy green, 2 tablespoons of dried fruit, or a fourth a cup of 100% fruit juice. As best practice, try offering at least 2 different kinds of fruits and veggies at meals. This way, kids get the chance to decide which ones and how much they would like to eat. So as a review, these are the meal patterns, and you should have all received a copy of this. When I signed you up, I laminated it and gave it to you on a clipboard so that way you could hang it in your kitchen to refer to. If you've lost it and you need another copy, just let me know. But this is a list of the minimum portions that have to be served to make a credible meal. In most cases, I see that you're serving more than the minimum, which is great. Obviously, we always say start with a plate with all the minimum sizes. And then if they want more, of course, give them more. So let's take a look at a snack. So milk and a Ritz cracker. Does this meet the meal pattern? Y'all can tell me in the chat function, does this meet the meal pattern? Oops, let's see. No, doesn't? Is anybody there? Am I just talking to myself? Yes, yes, yes. Very good, very good. Yes. Yay. So again, milk and Ritz crackers meet the meal patterns, but how could you power this up? How could you make this better? Maybe swap out the crackers for a veggie and a fruit, or a veggie and a yummy yogurt dip. Snacks are a great place to sneak in extra fruits and veggies, even though they aren't a required component at snack. What other ideas do you have? Or what other ways do you implement fruits and vegetables into your snacks? Anyone would like to share in the chat function? Okay. Well, healthy dips are a great way to encourage kids to eat their veggies. But if you're stuck in the ranch dip rut and are searching for some inspiration, check out this new collection of cooking videos from USDA Teen Nutrition. So you can find those there. There's a QR code on this slide that you can take a picture of, and it'll take you to the site. But they're real easy to find by just searching CACFP, USDA Teen Nutrition. So here's a quick video showing a simple yet kid-friendly recipe for meals, snacks, or a side dish. So let's look at this video for baked carrot fries with yogurt dip. It's just playing some music. I did turn it up a little bit, but it's just music. So they've also got a lot of other ones that are really cute that you can access through Team Nutrition. So we're gonna, oops, there we go. So the next concept was the two. The two bite club refers to supporting kids who might be hesitant to try new or unfamiliar foods. It can take children up to 10 or more exposures to a new food for them to accept it. Remember, picky eaters are just adventurous eaters in training, like we talked about last year. So let's watch how Elmo encourages his friends to try something new in this short video. If it works, it doesn't have a play on it though. Let's see. I wonder why it doesn't show. Well, that is strange. Oh, there it goes. Maybe. Huh. Wonder why it's not loading. Well, it's just a cute little song of, it's not very long, of Elmo encouraging kids to try again new vegetables and fruits. So in the 5-2-1-0 strategy, the number 2 also sometimes refers to 2 hours or less of screen time each day. While limiting screen time is certainly important and supports overall health, it really doesn't apply to the food program. So I was focusing on the 2 bite club. So if you do any, Google searches and stuff about the 5-2-1-0 framework and strategies, it's probably going to tell you 2 hours or less of screen time each day. There we go. So during last year's food program training, we learned about the term food nophobia, and it literally means the fear of trying new foods. And it's actually developmentally appropriate for young children. There are lots of ways to help encourage kids to try new food items. Instead of talking about foods being good or bad, try talking about more nutritious options as anytime foods and treats as sometime foods. Continue offering a variety of foods. Remember, we've said it can take up to 10 times or more for a child to accept a new food. Serve a new food alongside a more familiar one. Get kids involved in preparing meals and snacks. Let them help set the table or find age-appropriate kitchen tasks. Serve family style. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. But when you're able to, remember, it's all about balance. It's not about getting kids to eat perfectly or to completely eliminate certain foods. It's about creating patterns of eating that support healthy growth and development. Of course, there will be days when kids don't eat as many vegetables, or they won't eat much at all. And then some days you can't get them enough, and that's okay, because they're growing and you're providing regular opportunities for nutritious meals and snacks. You're allowing them to participate and practice healthy eating skills that will last the rest of their lives. So share your best tips for picky eaters. Oh, I hate that y'all can't. I'm so sorry that y'all can't see that. But can anyone want to share in the chat function your best tips for picky eaters? We do a no thank you bite club. No thank you bite. Anyone else? How do you How do you help those picky eaters that you have in your daycare? Very good. Yes, Errol. Eat with the children. Showing that example, and they see that their teachers are eating along with them, they're more likely to try something new. Silly faces, keep introducing. Very good. And coming up with fun and silly names for the different fruits and vegetables, anything that you can do to make it fun. The goal is to get them to used to trying. Our 3-year-olds now know that if they actually tell them their try friends, oh, that's cute. Very good. I gave some out on Friday, but I have a bunch of stickers that you can get free from Team Nutrition. Y'all can go and request those to be sent to your daycare center, and you can get a roll of stickers that says, like that I try, ask me about what I tried today, and different things like that. So kids love stickers. All right, thank you. Oh, we usually read the hungry. Yes, I love the very hungry caterpillar. So during a family style meal service, children serve themselves from large bowls or platters while adults supervise and assist. This allows children to practice self-regulation because they can decide how much they choose of each items. But remember, the family style is a great practice. And I know that Better Beginnings, they highly recommend that everyone do it, but it can be very challenging when you participate in the food program, because you have to make sure that they have all of their minimum requirements on their plate. And if you just pass a bowl and say, take your green beans, then they may not want it at all. So what I would suggest is you could do it a couple of different ways. One, you could go ahead and pre-make their plates with the minimum portions. And then when they want seconds, you could pass the bowl for them to practice, scooping how much they want. And when you start out with all the minimums, you can encourage them to try all of the things before they get seconds. Another way some of our centers will do is that they'll pass the bread basket. So they have all of everything on their plates, but then they pass the bread basket, or they'll have a helper for the day that will come around and help pour the milk and things like that. So remember that concept is a great concept, and it works better with smaller settings. But I understand that it can be challenging in a daycare center. Does anyone out there use family style dining? Oh, I will forward you that website, but it's through Team Nutrition. So CACFP Team Nutrition is where you can find the stickers and all kinds of free resources. And there's some more that I'm going to share with you during this training. So does anyone use family style dining, or any portions of family style dining? No. Okay. So as we move in to talk about physical education, this is like little movement breaks. So like I was saying, there's so many cute Sesame Street videos out there now, and this is just a little dancing video that you could use anytime during the day. It's only about 40 seconds long. It's not long at all.
Come on, dance with me. Put your hands on your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dance with me.
So they have created a lot of these cute videos. There's the Team Nutrition website that you can go to.
Come on, let's
So although the food program doesn't have any explicit recommendations or guidelines related to physical activity, research shows that healthy eating habits and movement, they go together hand in hand. So these physical activity recommendations come from the National Associations for Sport and Physical Education and the Physical Activity Guidelines for America. So here it kind of breaks down the recommendations for infants and toddlers, preschool and school age. So we want to make sure that we're providing them with structured and unstructured physical activity throughout the day. So physical activity should be both structured and unstructured. And here are some easy ideas for each age group. So here's some ideas of age appropriate movement for infants and then for toddlers and school age children. And most of these activities can be adapted for any age group. Here's some 5-minute energy breaks. So like in between activities that you can do with your kids. So I would encourage you to sprinkle all of these throughout the day or combine 2 or 3 of them together for a mini recess inside or out. Sprinkling in short periods of physical activity throughout the day. So what are some ways you've been able to create habits or routines around physical activities in your childcare? Sure, I can go back one. This one. The one with the ball. Oh, this one. It gives you some appropriate movement for infants and for toddlers and school-age children. You're welcome. And here's the one with a 5-minute energy break. So anyone else can share what are some of the ways you've been able to create habits or routines around physical activities in your childcare? Or do you have any suggestions for movement in small spaces or when the weather's bad? Ideas that you can get your kids up and moving. Nobody? Okay, well, we'll move on to the 0. Movement songs. Thank you. Yes. We love, and that's what I was sharing too with the Sesame Street. There's so many cute videos now that you can find on YouTube with Sesame Street about with just little short movement activities. So the 0 in the 5-2-1-0 framework refers to reducing the number of sugary sweetened beverages that children drink. So according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, among 1-year-old children on a given day, 1 in 3 consume sugary drinks. So reducing sweetening beverage intake would reduce the risk of childhood obesity and many other health problems, including type 2 diabetes, poor nutrition, excessive caffeine consumption, and dental decay. Small amounts of 100% fruit juice or vegetable juice contain beneficial nutrients and can be part of a healthy diet. However, any artificial sweetening drinks are becoming more and more popular with young children. I know that some of y'all see that when they'll bring them in with them in the morning. And there's a lot of evidence behind the link between sweetened beverages and poor nutrition. So of course, sugary sweetened beverages like soda and sports drinks are not credible on the food program, but what about juice? So going back to the Dietary Guidelines for America from earlier, they recommend at least half of the fruits consumed should come from whole fruits, fresh, canned, frozen, or dried. While 100% fruit juice can have a place in a nutritious diet, it lacks the fiber found in whole fruits. So too much juice can also provide unnecessary extra calories and can contribute to dental problems. So we're going to talk about juice for just a moment. To juice or not to juice? So let's review the guidance around juice. So fruit or vegetable juice may be served up to 3 times a week to meet your fruit or vegetable requirement per Arkansas S&P. If you see anything from the national, it may say once per day. But we recommend no more than 3 times a week. It must be 100% fruit juice or vegetable juice, and juice is not credible for infants, so under the age of 1. So we know that 100% juice does contain beneficial nutrients, but if it does not have any of the important fiber that kids get when they eat a whole fruit. And this is their guidance of how much. So they 1 to 3-year-old up to 4 ounces per day, 4 to 6 is up to 6 ounces per day, and 7 to 18 is up to 8 ounces per day. So what do you think are some advantages of having children eat whole fruit versus drinking 100% juice? Do you have any ideas about that you can share in the chat function? I'll repeat it. What do you think are some advantages of having children eat whole fruit versus drinking 100% juice? Anybody? Okay. Well, have you ever thought about how many apples go into making 4 ounces of 100% juice? Very good. Yeah, whole fruits has more nutrients. That's right. So think about this. The benefits of giving a kid a whole fruit instead of juice. What would happen if you give a kid 4 ounces of soda for breakfast? Right. Well, fruit juice doesn't contain nutrients that soda does, but the point is that the sugary drink without any fiber can lead to short bursts of energy and crashes later. So it takes 1.5 apples to equal 4 ounces. So it takes 3 apples to equal 1 cup of juice. So just think about that if you are, eating an actual apple instead of drinking the juice. One, it's gonna satisfy you. It's gonna, make you more full. You're gonna get all the added nutrients and fiber that's in the whole fruit that's not in the juice. So yeah. And think about how long it takes to eat 1.5 apples versus drinking 4 ounces of juice. Plus, consider the benefits that children eat the apple and experience the crunch and the texture and the fiber. And it's really good for their teeth as well. So what about milk? So some people might be asking, doesn't milk contain sugar? White milk does contain naturally occurring sugar called lactose, and unflavored milk is highly nutritious and provides many important nutrients for growing children. Non-dairy milk and milk substitutes like soy milk and protein milks are considered nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk, although those contain small amount of natural sugar. Dietary Guidelines for America recommends limiting added sugar to young children, which is why flavored milk is not credible for children under the age of 6 in the CACFP. There's some new products on the market like toddler milk. Raise your hand if you've seen any of those, like any of these new ones that are geared toward children. Toddler milks are marketed towards young children, but most of the time are not necessarily the most nutritious because they usually contain quite a bit of added sugar. They're not credible in the CACFP unless accompanied by a special dietary statement, or we call medical statement. So think about the 5-2-1-0 strategy and how it can support healthy eating and physical activity habits, many of which you're probably already doing because you do participate in the food program. So what are your next steps? If you're already doing all of this, what advice do you have for those just getting started? Do y'all have any thoughts that you'd like to share in the chat function? I'll give you a second. No one? Y'all are a quiet bunch. I didn't have very many on Friday and they talked. Okay. So as we wrap up our discussion of the 5210 framework, I want to take a minute to show you this quick little exercise video with Grover. Listen, they couldn't hear.
Monsters video. Well, this is a very blue personal trainer, Rover. My monster workout means that I, Rover, and Bobby here, and I. Yes, we are going to show you some exercises to make you healthy and strong. That's what exercise does for you, Bobby and Sissy. Yeah. It is fun to do.
Oh my goodness. How many of y'all are exercising with Grover? Oh, thank you for sharing. It says our kids love Go Danny Go to burn off energy. Your eyes are, you're working out your eyes. Okay, we'll pause, Grover. But I just wanted to show you that there are a lot of Sesame Street videos out there that will align with this 5210 framework. So take a minute to think of something that you did learn or a new habit routine that you're thinking about that you would like to incorporate into your childcare center. Jot that down, and if you'd like to share it in the chat. And then we're going to move on to preparing for a state review. So anyone want to share before we move on? One. Okay. All right. So I really wanted to talk to you about making sure that each one of y'all are prepared for a state review. I know that right after COVID ended, there was people that went out from the state that's visited some of our childcare facilities, and they didn't feel that they were prepared. So I want to make sure that y'all are all prepared. Remember, we're required to come out to do reviews 3 times a year. And then the state will choose 10% to come see every couple of years. But we heard that they were going to be out this year. So I just want to make sure that y'all are all prepared. So some of the things that they're going to be looking for is to make sure that everything that's posted that needs to be posted, that you have your civil rights requirements, other general requirements. They're going to review a meal. They're going to look at your menu documentation. They're going to do a 5-day meal reconciliation, and they want to see your reimbursement reporting. So what needs to be posted? The main things that need to be posted are a Justice for All poster, a non-discrimination statement, Building for the Future poster, a WIC fact sheet, and your menu. Okay. As of right now, we still have not received any new Justice for All posters. So the one that you have that looks like this must be posted, and it is good until we receive new ones. Okay, we were told that we should get new ones by now, but we haven't received them yet. So just keep this one posted until we provide you with the new updated one. Okay. Remember that you need to have your own non-discrimination statement. You can use the one that I gave you that has our logo at the top of it. It is, and if you need a copy of that, please let me know. But what's different about it is what's in yellow. It says including gender identity and sexual orientation. That's also what is missing from the Justice for All poster. Okay. The building for the future should look like this. It needs to be posted for all of your parents to see. It's allowing the parents to know that you're participating in this program. And if they have any questions, they can contact us, or they can also go to the USDA website to learn more. And the fact sheet just came out, the new WIC fact sheet just came out, and I attached that to the email that I sent out with the Zoom link. So you should have a copy of that there. If you didn't receive it, please let me know, and I'll get that out to you. And remember that they do update every year. So you'll see that this one is effective July 1, 2023. So next July 1, they'll come out with a new one. So make sure that you're keeping the newest updated information out for your parents to see. The other thing that they're going to be looking for is that you are posting your menus. It doesn't matter how you do it, and it doesn't have to be real detailed like it is on your menus that you send to us, your production records. That's what I was looking for, your production records. But we need to have something up to let the parents know what you're planning on having that day. So you can do it weekly, you can do it daily, you can have a month that has all the little boxes, however you want to do it, but it needs to be posted so the parents are aware of what you're planning on having. Okay. The WIC sheet was not in your email. Okay. I will double check that and send that to you. Let me write it down so I don't forget.
Right.
Sheets not included. Okay, I'll make sure, and it wasn't yours either. Okay, I'll make sure and send that to everyone again. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So here is a sample of a parent board that I just made here in the office. You can do it however you want, but as you can see, it's got the Justice for All poster, it's got the non-discrimination statement, it's got the building for the future, WIC information, the menu that they're planning on having, and then also the calendar. And we did receive our new calendars, and you should be getting those at your next review starting in October. Okay. Civil rights requirement. So make sure that Justice for All poster is posted. Do you have a copy of the civil rights complaint filing procedure on file ready for review? That also should have been included. It looks like this. This is just a sample of one. You can just use this one, or you can make your own. If you did not receive the complaint procedure, let me know. So hopefully it was in that email that I sent, but if it wasn't, let me know and I will get those out to you. Okay, yes, I think I'll probably just resend everything to make sure that y'all got everything. But make sure that there's no separation. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is that there's no separation of your kids by, by race, by color, by age, disability, and the eating area, serving lines, or seating arrangement. The only thing that I could see is the seating arrangement is if it's by classroom. Okay, here goes. So anyway, that's what the procedure looks like, and this is also where you can find it. But I can send you a copy of this form. So other requirements. Why isn't it going? There you go. Are you organized? Do you have adequate space, equipment, and facilities for meal preparation, meal service, and dining? Are your foods maintained at a proper food temperature until food is served? Are there thermometers in the refrigerator and the freezer? And I've noticed that some of them that we've come out to see that you're not able to find them. So make sure that you know where your thermometers are, and that your refrigerators and freezers are staying at the proper temperature. And make sure that you've got a temperature chart in your kitchen. Okay. Are safety and sanitary practices used during meal preparation and service? Do you have your Arkansas Department of Health inspection on file or posted for review? Do you have your certified food manager's certificate on file and posted for review? If it's required in your area, do you have a fire department inspection conducted within the last 12 months? And then also, do you have your child care license posted for review? Okay. So those are a lot of the things that they will be looking for when they come out to do a review. The other thing they're going to do is they're going to try to come at the meal times. So please make sure that we have your current meal times on your application with us. So if you say that you're going to serve breakfast at 8 o'clock, they should be able to show up anywhere between 7:45 and 8:15 and see something. They should see you preparing for the meal. They should see the kids eating the meal, or they should see you cleaning up from that meal. If you do need to make any adjustments to your meal times, we can do that, but you need to let us know, okay? Make sure that the meal served contains all the required components and serving size. If you are using a CN label product, that you have your CN labels on file and ready for review. If you're following a standardized recipe, that you have that on file and ready for review. And did the meal service match posted meal and production records? Okay, and that's really important as well. Now, your posted menu, say you come in that day and you had blueberries on your posted menu, but you decided, oh, I've got some bananas in here that are about to go bad, so I need to serve those. Is it okay to serve those? Of course it is, but on your production records, make sure that you put bananas and not blueberries. You want to put what you actually served on your production records. The posted menu is just what you're planning on doing, okay? And plans change, things happen, so we want to see on the production record what you actually served at the point of service, okay? All right. They're also going to want to see your red binder. Okay, so please make sure that you've got your red binder up to date. You got your A to Z file. You've got all of your current kids in there with your enrollment forms, your income forms, and your obligation to serve infant forms. Okay, make sure that you're using the new updated enrollment form on all new enrollments. And you'll notice that the new one includes the racial and ethnic origin. So please make sure that you're using the new updated form for all new enrollments. Okay, and you need one on every child in care. They're good for 1 year from the date of the parent's signature. Make sure that you double check it and it's all correct. To the best of your knowledge, you're going to initial it and date it at the top. You're going to send a copy to Mona before submitting your claim. Okay, so make sure that she receives a copy of this so she can put it in her spreadsheet. So when she gets your claim, it just makes the process so much quicker of her checking your claim. Okay. Hopefully in the email that I sent you has the new updated income form. The form is identical. The only thing that I did is on the back of the form, which I only have the front here. On the back of the form, I just put all the new numbers, the new rates. And if you're wondering what those new guidelines are, this was also should have been connected to that email. And like I said, I'll go ahead and send it all again. But this is the income eligibility guidelines effective July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. Okay. So for all new enrollments, you need to use this chart. Okay. But you can also look back at some of your old enrollments. So say one of your kids was reduced, but now you think they might be free. Well, then you can get a new income form. Okay. But please get a new one. Don't white out existing forms, okay? Get a whole new form. But you can always do that if the rates change in between in that year, okay? And then it's still good for 1 year from the date that the parent signs that form, all right? And if y'all have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the Q&A or in the chat, This is what a 5-day meal reconciliation. So you hear that term and you're thinking, what does that mean? What that means is they're going to look back at the last 5 days of your records. They're going to put the day and the date, and then how many infants you serve for breakfast, how many children, how many infants you serve for lunch, how many children. And they're going to put all those numbers in, and they're going to look at the total attendance for that time period. And they want to know that the attendance of this time period equal or greater than the number of meals documented on the meal count records. And as you know, if you're using the Excel workbook, all of those numbers should match. So this shouldn't be an issue. The other thing that's very important is to remember that every dollar that you receive from us needs to go directly back into your food program. So do you have receipts for everything? Do you have documentations on file to verify where all your money is going? Okay. On your claim, when you send it to us, we're just asking for copies of all of your receipts for food and then the total of how much you spent for food that month. Well, you may not have spent all of your money on food. Okay. So here is just a expense report that I created several years ago, but remember, you can carry over 10% from a previous month. Your food cost needs to be a minimum of 50% of what you receive. You can use part of it for paper products and kitchen supplies, a cook's salary. What if you want, you need capital expenses, like you need to buy a new refrigerator, a new freezer, or something like that. And then also mileage to and from trainings or going to pick up groceries from Sam's, things like that. And then I would try to hold off on the indirect costs. I would try to spend all of your money everywhere else and then look at the indirect costs if you need. But it's really difficult to figure out because it's going to be just where your food is prepared and your service areas, the rent, utilities, and during those time periods. So it's formulas and above my ability to figure out. So you would probably need help with that. Yes, I can send, I'll send everything from this training. I will send, can we claim roll off and dumpster services? I don't know if that would go in the nutrition part or not. That's a good question. Let me get back to you on that one. That's a good question. These are the main things that we look at. And so I always just try to steer you into spending all of your money here. If you're showing that you've got lots of extra money left over at the end of the month, and you need to look at your menus. Are you providing the best food that you can serve these kids? Are you providing fresh and whole fruits and vegetables over frozen and then frozen over cans, things like that, But yes, just make sure that you have a way that you're tracking how you're spending your money, okay? Very important. All right, we're gonna move on. Do y'all have any questions about preparing for a state review? Any questions? Okay, the next thing we're gonna do, thank you. We're going to look at some of the required training topics. And for this one, we're going to use the, if I can get it to work, we're going to use the polling thing. So the first slide, it says, if you plan to be away or closed, where is it? Oh, there it is. If you plan to be away or closed for vacation during a meal service, you must provide blank by notifying AR children in advance. So can't find my, there we go. So would it be a note with your claim after returning from vacation, B, a verbal notification or notice, C, prior notification, or D, meal count? So here's a poll. And let me see. Struggling with finding my, okay. There we go. Yay, can y'all see that? So you should be able to pick a choice. Very good. So I'll give y'all a moment. Looks like y'all all know this one. Good deal. Y'all are so smart. It's very important that you let us know. So if the state does show up and then they contact us, we can say, oh yeah, they contact us. We know that they are on vacation this week, or they closed their center because they didn't have any electricity today, or something like that. Very good. Thank y'all. All right. The next one. I'm going to relaunch the poll. There we go. Which statement is false about breastfeeding? Express breast milk is credible at any age. A medical note is needed for any child over the age of 1 to receive breast milk. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends to exclusively breastfeed infants for the first 6 months of life and to start solid foods around 6 months of age. A provider is reimbursed for meals when a mother breastfeeds on site at childcare. So which one do you think one is false? Ooh, we're not agreeing on this one. I'll give y'all a minute to respond. All right. This was a good one. B is the false statement. Breast milk is credible at any age. So that is the one that is false. In the poll. Oops. Okay. Relaunch poll. Relaunch. Okay. Next question. Which of the following foods are credible for infants? 100% fruit juice, whole eggs, tofu, or yogurt? What do you think? Which of the following foods are credible for infants? I will say that this one's a little bit of a trick question because there's actually 2 correct answers. So if you're thinking, I think that there's 2, you can just choose one of them. So whole eggs and canned tuna are credible for infants now. And under the new meal patterns, fruit juice is no longer credible for infants under the age of 12 months of age. Tofu and other soy products are also not credible for infants, but yogurt is credible as long as it has 23 grams of sugar or less per 8-ounce container. So just like for the children. Very good. Very good. Thank y'all so much. So remember, this is your infant meal pattern for birth to 5 months. It's just they recommend exclusively breast milk or formula. when they're around 6 months of age or when they're developmentally ready, that's when you can start serving the infant cereals and fruits and vegetables. And once you start doing that, we'll want to see it at every meal. And they have to have all 3 components at all 3 meals. Okay. Keep going. We have another question. Okay, this one is just a true or false. And so you can just choose A or B. A child with a milk allergy requiring rice milk and has a signed special diet statement on file. The provider is required to provide the rice milk unless it is financially burdensome. Is that true or false? So choose A or B. What do y'all think? Y'all aren't answering. Oh, kind of 50-50. Ooh, give y'all a couple more seconds. Oh, I think B may have more. Okay, this is the reason I asked this one, because this is a kind of a trick question for some people. So because the child, it is true, because the child has a medical condition with a signed special diet statement, the provider is required to provide the necessary accommodations, unless it is prohibitively expensive to provide the accommodation. The provider is responsible for providing rice milk. So an example that might not be would be like a specialized, like a Neutrogena, or is that how you say it? I mean, I'm probably saying it wrong. Or other specialty infant formulas that are really expensive. And it's okay to have the parents provide it as long as you're providing everything else that the child eats. Okay. Is there any questions about that one? Yeah. Yes. Do you still have a list of milks? I do. And I can send those out if you still need a list of milk. But it's really important, if they want something other than cow's milk or soy milk, which you can provide soy milk as long as you buy nutrient I can't talk, equivalent to the cow's milk, then you can provide soy milk. But for every other type of milk or any other accommodations, you'll need a medical statement. It looks like this. It needs to include the foods to be avoided, maybe explanation of how the food affects the child. And then they're going to recommend what to substitute. And then it needs to be signed by a healthcare provider. And keep this on file with the enrollment for review. So I would have this, punch holes in it and put it right with the enrollment form in your A to Z. So that way, if there's anything that comes up and someone comes to review and they see that one child is drinking a rice milk or an almond milk or something, and they want to know, why is this child getting something different? You can say, I have a medical statement. Here it is. They're supposed to omit cow's milk and get rice milk instead. So this will cover you. Any questions about that one? I just don't remember what. Yes. Okay. Basically, it's cow. It's whole milk for the 1 to 2 year olds. Once they reach 2, they need to be on skim or 1% milk. And all of those need to be unflavored. And then you can also buy nutrient equivalent soy milk. If they're over the age of 6, like if you have an after school program, you can do skim milk that's flavored. But I don't recommend that unless they're completely separate from your preschool children, because that's not fair. The school kids come in and they get to have chocolate milk, but the preschool kids have to drink white milk. Okay. So menu and meal count records should be documented when? At the beginning of each day, at the end of each day, after each meal or snack, or at the end of the month. Let's see, I'll relaunch the poll. There we go. So A, B, C, or D. At the beginning of each day, at the end of each day, after each meal or snack, at the end of the month. There's a little bit of confusion on that one too. And part of it is because in the past we have said, is, just, try to have it done by the end of each day. But it is supposed to be done after each meal or snack. Okay. Menu records and meal counts need to be completed after each meal and snack, and that's what's called point of service. So that's a new term that we've just started using, but that is what the federal guideline says, is that they need to be recorded at the point of service. So that is why you've noticed on your new attendance records, it says POS, or point of service, and it has it broken down by each meal. So when you do your attendance and they're there for breakfast, and you've made all of their plates and you give them their breakfast, and you mark off, Amy got her breakfast, Hallie got her breakfast, Johnny got his breakfast, and then they do their lunches and then say, oh, Johnny left, so he didn't get a PM snack. So he just has a check for breakfast and lunch and not for PM snack. So that's why it's really important, is to kind of keep track and to make sure that you're not overclaiming or underclaiming for that. Okay. Let's see. There we go. So reporting your daily menu count is a food program requirement. In order to be reimbursed for meals and snacks you're serving, meal counts and meal records need to be up to date and completed daily by the end of the day for that day. How do you incorporate this into your daily routines? And it's really important that you have a policy in place to help you make sure that this is getting done. Anybody want to share? How they do that? One is, having a person that you have in charge of this, or if you do it, then you make sure that you have someone in charge when you're not there. Remember that the records need to always be available for review, even if you're not there. So this is what the attendance record looks like. Well, I was talking about the point of service on the Excel spreadsheet. Nathan's here, and in a few minutes, I want to try to get through the civil rights part, but I will let him answer any questions that you may have. So if you have any questions about the workbook and how to use it, but this is the example here. And as you can see, it lists the kids, and what's different. One of the things that's different about it is has the years and the months. Now, the only reason that we separated that is for the children who were yet less than a year of age. So if they are over 1, then you just put a 1 in the years and you leave the months blank. Anything above 1. And if they're 2, then you put a 2. If they're 3, they have a 3. The months, you're going to put the number of the months they are if they're under the age of 0. Okay. So, okay, I'm sorry, under the age of 1. So we don't want to know that like a child is 2 years and 5 months. You know, we just, you can just put 2. And then if they're 5 months old, then you can just put a 5 under months. But the reason that we need to do this is so that the numbers will transfer correctly across the workbook to the different pages. So like the next one, like if you click on the first, then you're going to see the child production records for the day and the infants. And those numbers are going to transfer over. So we saw that we had 2 that were between the ages of 1 and 2 that we marked off for breakfast. They came across onto the production records. And you had 1 that was between the ages of 3 and 5. And so a total of 3 kids for breakfast, lunch, and PM snack. Okay. And just think about that if you have any questions, and we're going to come back to the workbook at the end. I want to very quickly go over civil rights. Every year you're required to have civil rights training, and the goal, oops, move this over. The goal of this is the guidelines are to equal treatment for all applicants and participants, knowledge of your rights and responsibilities, elimination of legal barriers that can prevent or deter people from receiving benefits, and dignity and respect for all. Okay. So I have a couple of little case studies to look at. So this first one involves a 14-month-old Frankie. Little Frankie has multiple food allergies, including eggs, gluten, and soy. His provider is nervous about maintaining food safety and worries that she might accidentally expose him to an allergen. Out of caution, she's asked Frankie's parents to bring all of his food from home and asked them to sign a form declining the food program. So take a minute to think about what might be going on here. We're going, what do you think he is being denied? So a child cannot be denied participation in the food program based on a medical condition or a disability. Okay. So you would be required to provide what you can for that child. What about Molly? Molly's 7 months old. She's just started childcare with a provider, and Molly drinks formula and has recently started eating fruits and veggies pureed from home. Emily provides infant formula, but has told Molly's parents that they must supply their own solid foods until Molly turns 1 because infants cannot participate in the food program. So does that violate that child's civil rights? Yes, it does. Equal treatment for all applicants and participants. There are a couple of things going on here. First, any infant must be offered the food program. They do not have to be over a year old to participate. Second, the provider cannot require parents to supply any food components. They are allowed, the parent can choose to supply one, but they cannot be required to do so. So once Molly is developmentally ready for solid foods, the provider needs to serve those foods to her meal and snacks. And she also needs to be recording those foods on her infant records. So does anyone have any questions about these little case studies? I thought that might be the easiest way to go over the civil rights. Remember that you have to have your Justice for All poster and your non-discrimination statement posted where all parents can see. There was a couple of hot topics that I wanted to talk about just real quickly. The first one pertains to whole grain. Why are whole grain rich items required daily? And remember, you're required to offer 1 whole grain per day. when the CACFP meal patterns were updated in 2017, they included the requirement that at least one serving of grain each day must be whole grain rich. And this is in line with the recommendations from the Dietary Guidelines of America, saying that at least half of the grains we eat every day should be whole. Researchers now understand that the quality of the carbohydrates in our diet is more important than the quantity. So eating more whole grains is good for our overall health. So their dietary guidelines recommended half of all grains to be whole. Whole grains are rich in fiber, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals, and we want to have quality over quantity. Another question that we get a lot about is about almond milk. Why can't I claim almond milk without a special diet statement? I've gotten a lot of questions from providers asking about almond milk. The reason that USDA guidelines state for non-dairy milk substitutes to be credible, it must be nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk. The list shows that nutritionally requirements for non-dairy beverage to be considered nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk. So at this point, most non-dairy alternates do not have enough of the vitamins and minerals. So here's all of these are the minimum requirements that need to be in the milk substitute to be able to be nutritionally equivalent. So at this point, most non-dairy alternates do not have enough. And so we have to have a medical statement. Almond milk, coconut, oat, rice, all of those things, you must have a medical reason for the substitute. It doesn't actually require a medical diagnosis, just the symptoms that occur when a child is exposed to cow's milk. But a parent's preference is not an approved reason for a diet statement. So a lot of parents are doing the almond milk thing, but it just it doesn't have much calcium and vitamin D and magnesium because all it is just almonds. Okay. Any questions about that? So it's not nutritionally equivalent. Oh, the other ones didn't show up. Okay, and I wanted to just quickly, in our in-person training, I was able to show them and play this little bingo game. But if you go to the Team Nutrition USDA.gov, you can order this bingo game, and this would be really fun to do as a training with all of your staff and people who work with the children. But it comes with the bingo cards. It comes with the little cards with questions and answers. It comes with the little plastic things that you can markers that you can put on there. And then there's also a little booklet that has all of the questions and the answers about milk. I can't believe that there's this many questions and answers about milk, but there are. So here's a couple of them that I was looking at. What is the minimum amount of breast milk or iron fortified formula you must serve to an infant 0 to 5 months of age for breakfast? A, B, or C? There we go. I got it up. Sorry about that. Is it A, B, or C? Lots of different ideas of what it is. It's actually B, 4 to 6 ounces. The minimum amount of breast milk or iron fortified infant formula you must serve to an infant 0 to 5 months is 4 to 6 ounces. All right, the next one is impulse and my pre-launch poll. Pre-launch. There you go. Sorry about that. You may serve flavored milk as part of a reimbursable meal or snack to children age infant 3 to 5 or 6 years of age and older. It's 6 years of age and older. I already actually mentioned that you can only serve flavored milk to the older age group. So why is it important to introduce solid foods to infants around 6 months of age? Sorry, I'm trying to end that poll. Around 6 months of age, most healthy infants start showing signs that they're ready to begin eating solid foods. If you think about what is happening developmentally at this age, there's a lot going on that makes it critical to introduce solid foods around this time. So what are some of those things that you can think of? Your iron storage starts to decline. So infants are born with about 6 months worth of, and this is something new that I learned, about 6 months worth of iron stored in their bodies that they got from their mother. But then after 6 months, it starts to decline, especially in breastfed infants. We want to make sure to provide iron-rich foods because breast milk is very low in iron. Serving things like iron-fortified infant cereal, pureed and finely chopped meats provide iron and zinc that babies need as they grow. Eating is actually a more complicated skill than walking. So that motor skill development. Babies have to learn how to maneuver foods in their mouth using their tongue and jaw, and must learn how to deal with foods and different textures. Make sure that an infant is exposed to different textures of foods like purees and mashed and ground and diced foods, and that reduces that risk of them to reject foods when they get those offered after they're a year age. Children develop their taste preference from a very young age, and we also pediatricians used to recommend waiting until children were at least 12 months of age to introduce allergenic foods like peanuts and eggs. But now evidence shows that introducing foods around 6 months of age actually protects kids against developing food allergies. So I would encourage, the parents to talk to their pediatricians about when to start solid foods. But when you feel like that they're developmentally ready, that they can move that food from the front of their mouth to the back of their mouth, that they're ready for that solid food. The next thing I wanted to talk about really quickly was during our state training, okay, there it is that there was a lady there that was from licensing, and one thing that they would really like for us to keep a lookout for is your capacities and ratios. So as you already know, we can't claim you if you're over your capacity. So that's not going to happen. But when we come out to do a review, we're also supposed to make sure that you have the correct staff-child ratios and they're being maintained in all of your classrooms. So please stay on top of this. It's really important for the child's safety, and you don't want to jeopardize your license. So I pulled this directly from y'all's child care licensing book. But it's just as a reminder, this is something that they're asking us to look at when we come in to do reviews. And if we see that that you're out of ratio, that we need to bring that to your attention. And then if we feel that there is a health or safety risk, they want us to contact the licensing. So I just want to let y'all know that. Another big topic was ounce equivalents. Remember, as of October 2021, all grains are now required to be listed in ounce equivalents instead of servings. It's mostly a name change, but I did ask Mona, and she said most of y'all are doing a great job putting things now in ounces instead of in servings. So just if you have any questions about that, I have last year I gave a bunch of these worksheets, and I thought that I attached it to this email, but if you did, I'm going to go ahead and send it all again. But this was an ounce equivalent worksheet to help you determine, what is an ounce equivalent. And if you go to USDA.gov, Team Nutrition, there's all of these really easy to use worksheets to help you with like hot topics in the CACFP. The crediting handbook for CACP has been updated and it has all of the ounce equivalents in there. I did send the link to that as well, that you can either download. You probably don't want to print it because it's so many pages, but they have updated that. How many of you are using your food buying guide? Can you raise your hand if you're using your food buying guide, either the tool on the computer or you're using the app that you can have on your phone? So if you're not, and you're not familiar with that, I would recommend that you would download the app and or look at the website and use the tools. It really helps when you're meal planning. The next thing we want to talk about is to make sure that you're maintaining your records. Remember that federal requirement states that the CACFP records must be maintained for the minimum of 3 years, but Arkansas's best practice is 5 years. So we do keep a copy of everything, but it's recommended that you keep a copy of 5 years plus the year you're working on, and have all the reforms, your enrollments, your obligation to serve infants, income, and they would like for you to keep those alphabetically by the child's last name, especially your current ones in your red binder. But then you can take all of those out and, put them in a box or something, but try to keep them in order so it makes it easy for you to pull them if the state asks for something. A lot of our centers use the brown paper paper envelope method and put their whole month, like their monthly claim and everything in it, and label it that month, and then just have a record of all of the years by month. However you want to do it, but just make sure that you're maintaining your records and you're able to pull something that they might ask for. So our objective was, my goodness, after completing the training, providers will describe how the 5-2-1-0 framework helps children develop healthy habits and will select one new routine to implement their childcare. So if you could tell me in the chat, what is one takeaway that you have learned from this training? Yes, lactate milk, as long as it is lactose-free milks are credible. You just got to make sure that they're nutritionally equivalent. But yes, you can do a lactose-free milk and provide that. Okay, well, I'm going to ask Nathan to join us. And here is his email. It's nathan@ar-children.com. If you have any technical questions on using the workbook. So do you want to come? The next like 3 or 4 slides is the workbook. So if you want to go to, I was having a hard time getting it to, there it goes.
Delay.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to use the workbook this month, you're already going to notice a problem with August 4th. There was a problem with the formula. I guess it's been there from the beginning, but in June, the 4th was on a Saturday, and in July, nobody claimed on the 4th. So now that we have a 4th in August, it's during the week, your lunches will be incorrect on the production sheet. There's a problem with just that line for the 6 to 12-year-olds. So you can send me your workbook the way it is, and I can fix it and then send it right back to you with it corrected. Or I can just, if you just email me, I can just send you the one that is now corrected and do it that way. Someone had a problem today that was also about the 4th, but once I fixed that, I noticed their numbers were still wrong. And if you need to make sure that when you put a 1 in all of your breakfast, lunch, and PM snacks, that is the only character that is in there. She had inadvertently put a asterisk, or it wasn't an asterisk, it was a print or a, what, my mind's going blank, but like a apostrophe. There was an apostrophe right next to the 1. And that basically negates the 1 and it won't add it. So it's just like you didn't have anything in the blank. So, and there was a couple of fields that had, or a couple of cells that had that apostrophe right next to the one. So it's very subtle to see, but when you're typing, the apostrophe is right next to it. So it might have been just no, it was over here. I don't know. Anyways, you can only have one character in there and it has to be a 1. Nothing else is going to actually work. So, like Nicole said, that was the other issue, is make sure you absolutely do not put a value in years and months, only years and only months. Don't do both of them because it's not going to figure it right. And make sure that whatever cell in your years, your months, your free, reduce, your paid, and all of your breakfast, lunch, and PM snacks, it's just a 1, no other character in there. If you do accidentally put like a 10, in your breakfast, then it actually will mark it as that. Whatever number that you put in there by accident, it will add it on the production sheet. So just make sure that you only have a 1, because we've seen some errors that way. Tried to make it as bulletproof as we can, but just like with things that I work with on a daily basis, I'm prone to making a mistake. So I know you guys will too. This does not, I see this, is this the new workbook? No, it's just an example. The new workbook actually, I don't think it actually has the number beside the breakfast, lunch, and PM snack underneath the actual date. And there's some highlighting on the actual production pages. It's just, but it is pretty much the new one, but it's just not the exact finalized one. Just remember that on your center name, you only change that on the sheet that's titled MA1. It's going to take that name and put it everywhere else on your workbook, so you don't have to worry about typing it anywhere else. And once you put your dates in for the day of the week, that's also going to copy to the other sheets as the production sheets as well. So you don't have to type any of those in there. And they should be locked so that you can't even do it even if you wanted to. What is the next page?
Using Excel.
I recommend using Excel. If you don't have the ability to use Excel, we'll try to help you as best you can, but I have seen that using Google Sheets is unlocking the protected cells and allowing changes to be made. And that's where some of the mistakes are coming from, because they're copying information, but they're copying it incorrectly, or they're accidentally deleting a formula. So try to use Excel if you can. If you have to use Google Sheets, then if there's just a few of you, I don't know how many would possibly do that, but it would just be easier for me to just send you a brand new sheet every month, and you just use that sheet and just don't try to copy information from June to July or from July to August. And what that, I can do it for you. If you can, like, you send me July, then I can copy your names and your birth dates and your free, reduced, and paid, and put that into an August sheet. And then you open it and it's going to open up as your Google Sheets, and it'll work okay. But as soon as you try to copy in Google Sheets over to September, you may have some issues. So yes, the one I sent you this morning is good. So that one, that has been completely corrected. What is the next one? So if your worksheet does not see on down there on snacks where it has highlighted of select at least 2 of these components. I mean, guys, most of you have been doing this a long time. Just please read that. Select at least 2 of these components. Water is not a component out of those 5. So if you literally have water selected and then wheat thins, then obviously that's not a credible snack and we cannot reimburse you for that. Just follow the menu guidelines and everything will work out good. Any questions about the production sheet? Like I said, if you've got everything, if you filled out your attendance, and then all of a sudden you see that your production is not correct, look at those two things. See if you've actually got a secondary character in that cell. Because I've now gone through and checked every single cell, and I don't know how any of them could not be adding correctly now. Same as the infant. Again, just make sure that in the months column, you just have the months of the child under the age of 1, and that you, in the years column, you just have a single number or a double-digit number only in that column, and not anything in the monthly column. The infants are going to automatically add down here at the bottom. Your, what do you call this? The recap sheet. You know, before, that was the problem that we had before, is that it wasn't what you would put on your very first page, your MA1 page, and then what you put on your production sheets. That there was a lot of errors between those. So now we don't have that possibility for errors. What you see on breakfast from totals from production records is the exact same thing you will see on breakfast from totals from menu, because they are literally counting from one to another. Just make sure that you've got your free, reduced, and paids selected correctly, because that's where that error is going to come into place. And these cells are locked too. They automatically total everything up, so you don't have to change anything there. If you notice at the very top, like I said, your name will automatically go to the top on the worksheet. We don't have the address on this one, but I may try to work on that on a later month for a revision, to put everybody's address in there. You'll always have to change the month and the year for each one of them, but that's going, you know, all your totals are going to be marked in here and add everything up for you. Don't forget to email your training checklist, and Nicole. That's the name.
Yeah, that's the main thing now, is make sure that you don't have any questions about all the items that are listed on that checklist, and go ahead and fill it out right now and send it back to me. So that way we'll have a copy of it to go into your file, and I will be able to give you that PDR training that you need. And then also, if you need a certificate, if you'd like an actual paper certificate, I can send you one of those as well. Okay. Yes, Nathan's going to jot down your names for the ones who need to send a workbook to. But yeah, if you have any questions for me, my email is nicole@ar-children.com. So please email me any questions about the training. If you can, send me the training checklist. But if you have any questions, technical questions, you can email nathan@ar-children.com. Okay. Remember that we are here for you. We are here to serve you. So if there's anything that y'all need, please contact us, you know, because we don't know. Just please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And thank y'all for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here for this training. Sure. Yes, it's Nathan, Nathan @ar-children.com. So NATH, can't type, Nathan @ar-children.com. Oh, no space. Looks like I put a space in that. No space. Thank y'all so much. So if you don't have any other questions, you're free to go. Just get those training checklists into us. And thank y'all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you have any other questions, I'll leave the chat open for a few minutes. And if there's any other questions that you might have that we can answer. You're welcome. Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Have a great day. Any other? Thank you. Yes, thank y'all so much. It's so cool to see all your names. I wish that I could see your faces. Try to come to in-person training next year. And let me know what you'd like to see, what you'd like to see me do next year. Oh, thank you. I'll write down that email for him. Anybody else? Any questions? Nora? Day. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, he doesn't see that person. It's fine.
Nora, what center are you with? Here's our email.
Okay.
Oh, Kid Zone. Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. They're going to work on it right now and they'll get it sent to you. You're welcome. All right. Well, if there's not any more questions, then I'm going to end the training. Yes.
So ask her how many lines.
Nora, do you know how many lines you would need? Like, so how many kids do you have enrolled? The most you would have? He was asking that. So like 50, 75, 100, 70. Nathan? Great. Thank you so much. All right. There's not anyone else. Oh, yeah. Alex, are you still on?
Yeah.
Do you see this last name? Hudson laughing? Okay, make sure you've got that one written down. But I will go by your training checklist too, so make sure that you get those sent in. Okay. All right, well, if there's not any more questions, then I'm going to end this training, and don't hesitate to reach out. Oops. Can't find my mouse. There we go.